what the foods were like that you ate out there in Bull Canyon. What like did you have
Hey, now remember,
like did you have a favorite food?
Hot dogs.
Was there a typical meal? That sort of thing?
canned milk. We always had canned milk. For the longest time, I thought everybody just ate canned milk on their cereal. But yeah, now remember, I was very young. Pat and I would take our crackers out, bury them in the dirt, uncover them, and say they were toasted and eat them.
Daddy wasn't a big hunter. Yeah. But when we did have some, and we did. I remember them actually cutting up the venison on the dining room table a few times. They deboned it and then cut it up. But so we did have it, but not really.
Well, Mom grew up on a lot of venison because back then, when she was a girl, you got a tag. You could get 6 deer on one tag. Mm-hmm. And Granddad was another short guy, but he was very hefty. And I mean, he would go out and he would get a deer and then he would walk back into town with it across his shoulders. And, so, and then he loved his chickens. And so they had eggs and venison a lot when she was growing up.
In the 60s and 70s, the game wardens turned their heads up for a lot of families. A lot of families ate buckskin year-round, In Paradox, Yearvan, it was a common thing to wild game.
It was good hunting and fishing, everything down here then. And most of the miners had to poach so they'd have something to eat. And that was just kind of a standard you had. The game warden, he didn't care as long as you didn't waste it. If you used it, it was fine. But if you wasted it, it'd put you in trouble there.
We didn't buy meat at the store. Our family hunted, and we lived on venison. And my grandfather planted acres of potatoes, so we always had potatoes and venison. It really wasn't much other than that. If we had a roast, it was a big deal. We didn't have cattle. We weren't able to go to the store and just buy groceries.
Well, what you ate depended on how much money you made. You might be eating a bologna sandwich, and that was about the extent of it. Was a couple of bologna sandwiches, and then as you got a little richer, you could throw in a cherry pie and go to, smoked ham or something like that and upgrade your sandwich. But it's pretty much sandwiches. There wasn't no such thing as microwaves when we started.
My mother made a lot of stews. And she made a lot of chili. We ate a lot of chili. And back then we ate mostly hamburgers and chicken. We never had steaks or anything. And of course your potatoes and your vegetables and your fruits. But mostly Mom just made stews and beans. I know when she made the stew, my dad liked turnips and onions in stew. Well, my one sister did not like turnips and onions, so she picked them out. Because Dad said, Mom prepares what you're going to eat. You eat that or you don't eat, We couldn't be picky about what we ate. We had to eat what was put before us. I think my favorite food was Mom's stew and her chicken and dumplings. I made stew, and I made once in a while chicken, because George loved chicken and dumplings. So I made a lot of chicken and dumplings. And a lot of beans.
Yeah, my mom had a big garden. She canned lots and lots of produce, green beans, and ate lots of green beans, and she'd can peaches. They'd go buy fruit in Grand Junction and can that. And she canned most everything.
Mom canned, and my grandmother canned, and that's... I know our kitchen was very small. It was a small room, and so... we didn't always get to sit together, but there was always a meal. And in our house, our last house in F Block, the last one we lived in, we had a peach tree in our yard that you'll never taste a better peach than that.
We grew up on, our food was raised in the garden in Yearvan. And that peach tree
was the best.
Those peaches had to be 5 to 6 inches in diameter. And our mom would, at the beginning of the school year, that was what we got to have for breakfast. And she would peel those and slice them.
Wish I had a seed off of that tree.
My granddad could grow anything. He was like, he had the greenest thumbs. And somebody told him he couldn't grow watermelon here. So he planted a watermelon. And when it started to get cold, he got a tub, dug the watermelon plant, put it in the tub, and brought it in with him, and had he grew his watermelon in the house for the last month.
Oh my goodness.
But he grew a watermelon here.
Grandma had a little cherry tree. She had babied it and
Oh, I
babied it
forgot
and
that.
babied it. And Mom and her friends, and I'm sure Uncle Eddie, and anyway, they snuck in the backyard one night and they picked all those cherries. And then they came around and came in the front, and they told my grandma that they had stole these cherries from someone. They didn't tell her who. And she made them a pie, and they sat there and ate the pie. And the next day she goes out to pick her cherries to make the
Fourth of
pie
July
for
pie.
the 4th of July, and her cherries were gone.